I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Yo, what's good, everybody? You are now tuned into another episode of the Man Listen Show. But before we get started, let's hear a few words from our sponsors.
He's adding that flavor to your function. DD's Daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Flavor to your function. DD's Daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink. Wanna kick back, wanna just vibe. Where to kick back? Let me first slide to the drink store. Let me just buy DD drink mixes, all of them fire. Fill me up a case, I'm finna drop bread. Marvelous mango, classic and red. Took them to the party, these folks won't leave me alone. They wanting me to share, they better get their own. DD's adding that flavor to your function. DD's Daiquiri. Good vibe, one drink at a time. Good vibe, one drink at a time.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, at Man Listen Show. You can also subscribe to the show. Go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. You can listen to all of our past shows. You can find where we're at on other platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, basically anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on YouTube to watch the videos of the show. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. It's very important that you do that because that tricks the algorithm and to let more people see our show and getting this good content that we're giving to you. So make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show in America, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, just me and the sisters today. Brother Lav is out, but it's all good. It's all good. So Biden been catching some heat, and rightfully so. They just announced that he's going to withdraw the mandate that he pushed forward for businesses, big corporations, to make sure that their employees are vaccinated. So through OSHA, they put out a mandate that any company that has more than 100 employees needed to either be vaccinated or had to submit to testing once a week. The Supreme Court pushed back on that and said that OSHA was overstepping its bounds and overstepping its authority, I should say. And I guess instead of Biden trying to fight it, they're going to try to maybe go a different route or whatever, or maybe dedicate their resources to something else. So, I mean, we're going to talk about Biden a lot on this show, but what did y'all think about that? I mean, I know a lot of people who are, hesitant or refuse to get the vaccine, but they're about to be forced to do so because they work for a corporation that has over 100 employees. But they got saved from their perspective because, they waited and now they don't have to do so. So what were y'all thoughts when it came back? We'll start with Erika, since she's the expert on the Constitution and law, our resident attorney. So Erika, what'd you think?
Well, I mean, I think it was a good decision by the Supreme Court. One of the reasons why we have the checks and balances is because we want to make sure that these, different parts of our government aren't overstepping their, like you said, their authority. And one of the things that OSHA is supposed to do is make sure that we have safe working spaces, but that's to protect us from occupational hazards, not necessarily to protect us from global pandemics. And so when they go in and try to expand what they can do under the pretense of a global pandemic, to me, that makes me nervous because that always makes me think of a slippery slope. Because then what next? What is smoking bad for everybody? Do they need to protect us from smoking? Do they need to protect us from drinking? You know what I mean? Do they got to mandate like alcohol tests and whatnot. So we don't want to necessarily, I'm saying you have to go to extreme. Obviously that's the extreme, but
listen, attorney, that wasn't a good example because
yes.
secondhand smoke, you can't just smoke on the job. And yes, if you drinking on the job, you will get in trouble because I work for a company that they will test you for alcohol. Absolutely.
No, I think it was a great example. And
Absolutely.
there's a lot of companies you can drink at. There's a lot of people that have like little mini bars in their office buildings.
Okay, but we're talking about corporations. We're talking about
right. That's what we're talking
more
about.
Than 100 people. That's not the norm. It's not the norm. And they may do that. See, you're right. They may do that. Yeah. But I know that if any business that has insurance that requires insuring their employees for any measure, everybody in the company has to get tested. Now, how they enforce the results of those tests may differ, but I know for certain that with my employers, that if I came back from lunch, I could be subject to alcohol test. I've actually had to do it before, where you drinking while you out on lunch. So yeah, it is something that happens.
But so when you bring up that though, it also depends on what do you do for a living though? Like if you're doing something, if you're drinking or smoking something or whatever that can put yourself in harm's way or another team member or employee, kind of like Erika was saying, the whole point of OSHA being there, then I understand. I just don't think that they didn't really think the whole vaccine mandate through. Like there's like, oh, if you have this many employees you have to get it. So if somebody is like working from home, never leaving their house, door dashing their food, and they're staying safe, wearing masks, their doctor's appointments, and have other medical conditions to where they don't want to get the vaccine right now, they shouldn't have to lose their job.
Well, I wasn't necessarily saying like they shouldn't be able to test you if you're drinking on the job. I'm saying if they can require you to go to your, doctor or whatever to get a vaccine, then what else can they require you to do to keep the masses safe? Not necessarily drinking on the job, but just drinking, period. Maybe this company or, they don't feel that people who drank within 24 hours before coming to work, maybe that could be a hazard if people are hungover or whatever. Or if they don't have other vaccines or if they don't have the flu shot might be a better example. So what if they start requiring that people get the flu shot because, prior to COVID, people were dying from the flu. And so if that's an issue and they're trying to protect businesses, that reach can go too far. I'm just saying it's not necessarily like C said, it's just about controlling how far their reach can go and what all they can control just because we have something going on over here. I'm not saying that like the federal mandate for vaccines is still out there. Nobody's complaining about that because he's the, executive of the federal side, so he can run all that however he wants to. But then you can't tell other people how to run their business under the umbrella of keeping the occupation safe. Like even with the hockey game, I got to get a COVID test for on Thursday. It doesn't make sense to me that the people who don't have a vaccine have to get a COVID test, but the people who do have the vaccine don't have to get a COVID test. So all of them people could be in there with COVID. Like, what are you really trying to stop? Wouldn't it just be easier that everybody have a negative COVID test in the past 72 hours? Because then all the vaccinated people can just come up there with COVID and spread it. So it's the consistency just doesn't make sense to me.
It makes sense to me because the numbers show that people who are vaccinated, they have less severe results if they catch COVID. And the whole principle of this is not to eliminate COVID, because I mean, if we could, you know what I mean? I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think that it eventually will become like the flu. So if you are unvaccinated, you are more likely to catch it and you are more likely to tax the system. And that's just facts. That's facts. I don't think that what you're saying, I get what you're saying about it being a slippery slope in terms of, okay, we're going to use this situation to mandate people to do certain things. But I think when we have people dying from this, people die from the flu as well. But right now we are in a pandemic status, which means that it can get out of hand. It's already out of hand. You see what Omicron did. And for those who aren't just really grasping how serious it is, there's a reason why the healthcare workers are saying, hey, listen, we are wore out. We are tired, because there's too many people, and they keep saying it's the people who aren't vaccinated. So I understand what Biden was trying to do. You know me, y'all know my stance on it. I mean, I've been vaccinated 3 times, and as soon as I can get the 4th one, I'm gonna get that too. Yeah, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that joint too. They give me a pill to take every day. I'm gonna take that joint too. You know, so I get it, but I also understand where you're coming from, Marika. But I just think that Biden needs a win. He especially needs a win for Black folks, and it don't seem like he has any interest in doing that based off the response he had to the question. Did y'all see that?
Yeah, I think Black folks are probably done with Biden. I don't really think there's much he could say or do at this point.
And it's crazy because he's really only a year in. He's really only a year in office, but I think that we finally learned a lesson that we should have learned, that we should have known from Barry. Because you remember how we were with Barry, right?
From who?
President Obama. Let me give him his respect. With President
Oh, what did you call? You said Barry.
Barry. That's what
I
he was
know,
called
but
growing
I
up.
didn't hear. I don't. I thought you said Mary. I'm like, who's Mary?
Barry.
Okay.
That's how. Yeah,
Well,
that's what they
we
called
should've
him
learned
growing
that
up.
long before him, though.
Huh?
Should have learned that long before him.
You're right.
And our resident
But-
Republican.
You're right. No. See, she's right. She's right. But I'll say this. I think when you go all in like we did for Obama, that we should have held him to task. We kept saying, okay, let's get him to the second term. Let's get him to the second term. Then he gonna look out for us. All right, he's a lame duck president. He's only got a year left. He gonna look out for us. And it never happened. And it wasn't until he was all the way out of office and we had Trump and people was busted and disgusted and they was looking like, you know what? We should have held that dude more accountable. But it was too late by then. It was too late. So I think that people, and why would Trump and the Republicans give us anything? We ain't gonna vote for him no way. We ain't gonna vote for him no way. So honestly, man, we just kind of stuck. And at times I want to just say this, that we need to hold our vote. But then again, I know that's just basically giving your vote to the Republicans. So I'm not sure there's a good answer, but we got to do something though. We got to do something.
How much could go wrong by giving your vote to the Republicans?
I think if they put somebody out there who was somewhat rational and sane, I think that they may get some Black votes because they've got Black votes before. I mean, there's a reason why C is a Republican. Black people used to be Republican. They did. And then, things changed. The bill was Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson came up with the Voting Rights Act, and then Black people switched to voting for Democrat. But yeah, I mean, it's possible that we can put, but are they going to put somebody in there that's sane? Look how crazy they are getting. Look how far Trump has pushed them to the extreme. Are we really going to put somebody in there?
Next election, it doesn't look like it. I don't really see. That's the thing, though. I mean, I get where people were saying it was either, one or the other, that we were stuck between a rock and a hard place this last election. But even like moving forward, like, I know it's not like, this early on an election, the winning party doesn't necessarily set somebody else up. But if the Democrats want to win, they really got to start thinking about it. Like Biden is how old? 70 something?
Oh.
Even if Trump decides to come back, like I just really don't feel like, which I read a comment, I don't know if it was true or not, but God, what's the guy's name that is the Tesla?
Oh, Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's a little too, but he had made a comment something about he didn't think that somebody like 70 something should hold certain political positions, and I agree with him. Like I don't know if we should have a 70 something year old man so-called like running the country. I know that the president has like limited like things and what they can do and executive orders and things like that, but I just don't think that's a position for them, because I think that no matter what Biden says, like that's still crime bill Biden from the 90s and the 2000s. He's only going to do so much, because the most of his life when he was like down there, actually being, I guess, what word am I looking for, Rika? Like, when he was like at a lower level politician, like those are the times where, you're talking to people, you're making decisions, like,
when he was a senator.
Yeah.
When he was a
Yeah.
So
senator. Yeah.
now when you're a president, it's almost just like it's just a position. It's just a status, I don't know what the age limit should be, but when Biden has conversations now, he doesn't even seem coherent a lot of times. And I know that there's a vice president for a reason, but I just still think there should be like an age limit. There should be a cap. Just like there should be a term limit, there should be an age limit.
He definitely ain't as sharp as he used to be, because Biden, when he was vice president Biden under Obama, that dude was on point. He was on point. He's a highly intelligent man. He really is. And that's why I held my nose when I voted for him, because of the crime bill, because of Anita Hill, because of his comments about busing. That's why they call him Jim Crow Joe. And I held my nose, but there's no way that I could, be complicit in putting Trump back in office. I just couldn't. Just because Trump represented the triumph of mediocrity. I wrote an article about it for this website that Rick and I used to work for, that nobody can find anymore. But he just represented like white mediocrity, and I couldn't stand that. So I get what you're saying. See, I mean, definitely he definitely looks diminished when he talks, especially when they ask him that question about, what do you say to Black voters who feel like you have let them down, and whatever you're trying to do to fight for voting rights, it's too little too late. His response was just gibberish, in my personal opinion.
I think in St. Charles here, the judges have to retire at the age of 60, no matter what. And I think 60 is a good age. It's an age where you could be a mentor or like an elder judge to the people coming in, but not hold, the chief judge position or those top positions where you're really making life altering decisions for people, because judges make life altering decisions, politicians make life altering decisions. And so I think that the age limit should be 60 for all politicians. The Senate should not have 70 and 80-year-old people running around shaking hands with the same people they've been kicking it with for the last 50 years. I think there's no way that we should have people dying on the Supreme Court. That's ridiculous.
Talk about it.
I'm like, there's no way that RBG should have been battling her whatever round of cancer while still showing up for work at the age of however old she was. That's ridiculous. And if that's how we're like you said, complicit in letting our country move forward, that's why we haven't accomplished anything. That's why we're slowly sliding back into the land of mediocrity. We are the country of C students. It's like, and like you said, the healthcare workers are frustrated, the teachers are frustrated, everybody's frustrated, because we have a lot of C students running things, and we've got the insurance industry running the medical, field, and we've got politicians running the education, and it just, none of it makes any sense. And the problem is we've got all these old people who've been getting away with whatever they've been getting away with for the last 30, 40 years, still in control, and they've got too much power. So we need to kick them out. All of them. It should just be a mass retirement party.
I agree.
I would say that 60 probably maybe be a little young. I think it'd probably just be like whatever the retirement age for everybody else. So I think retirement age is what, 65? I can see 65, because at 65, you're still not young, but you're still in charge of your mental capacity. You're still able to operate. 65 would probably be my limit, but I understand what you're saying about 60. Definitely. Well, I think the Dems, though, honestly, I think they need, if they really want to try to turn this around, they're gonna have to try to just pull the nuclear option. They're gonna have to get rid of the filibuster. They're gonna have to get rid of it. They are going to have to expand the Supreme Court. And even if they don't want to do that, you know what they could do? They could cancel them student loans. Cancel them student loans. You ain't gotta do all that stuff that you don't want to do.
Nope.
Do what you said.
That one thing.
Do what you said. Cancel them.
They don't want to do that either.
Right.
And boy, I got some people.
Day one.
I got some people on my timeline. That there was a program that's been put into place where, like, if you work for like public service, like the government or a teacher or whatever, and you pay for like, I think like, I want to say like 20 years.
It's 10 years.
10 years. Pay for like 10 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
Pay like 10 years straight. They'll forgive your loans. And I'm like, damn, why I ain't going to teaching? Why?
Listen, I've been looking into it. Cheat code. All we gotta do is start a nonprofit. Everybody work for the nonprofit for 10 years, make our payments. Boom.
Good. Get us a, what's that? A EIN or whatever it is, Arika. Get it. It was
EIN is easy to get. It's that nonprofit status, that
Yeah.
501c3 that ain't easy.
401(c), yeah, that 401(c) is what you got to get.
Well, let's get it. We can figure out a way to get it. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to, like, you can work to have your student loans forgiven. I actually used to work for a company to where if you work for them, I believe it was 2 to 3 years, they would forgive your student loans. That company actually ended up going out of business. So now I work for a different company doing the same thing. But that's not the point. Joe said that he was going to forgive them. So I want them forgiven for the company that I'm working for now. Like, I don't want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then you never know, they're somewhere else and you get 2 or 3 years in and all of a sudden that place goes out of business or somebody changes a rule and then they lose their 501c3 and then all of a sudden you're kicked out of that program. Just no, like, he said he was going to forgive him. He needs to forgive him.
So he said he was going to forgive $10,000.
That's not what he said the first time. Yes,
Right.
That's what he later on said.
So I'll take that.
I would too. I mean,
forgive 10 G's, you got my vote. I could be bought. I ain't gonna front. I can be bought.
Oh, he's gonna forgive them all.
Forgive 10 G's, I could be bought. I give you another 4 years to try to figure it out. I give you another 4 years to try to figure it out. I think the only person who had a worse week than Joe Biden is Monet Tejada, aka Mary J. Blige on Power. Did y'all watch Power? Tell me y'all watch Power. Tell me y'all watch.
Kinda not. No.
Oh my God. We are going to lose. We are going to lose our title as the blackest radio show in America.
I read about it. It's on. It's on in the room. I'm just usually doing other stuff while it's on.
So listen, I'm gonna tell you something. Power Book 2 with that focus on Tariq and it's starring Mary J. Blige. If you haven't been watching that show, trust your boy Marv B. You need to watch that show because they have done an excellent job of creating characters. The acting has actually been pretty good. It has to, because you remember when Power kind of fell off towards the end and people were like, "Ah, man, this isn't realistic. This isn't realistic." And I was like, man, shut the hell up.
Which one were people saying that? I mean, I think a lot of the stories.
They were just talking about things that would happen on Power. Like, man, that's not realistic. Just different scenes or whatever. Like the one where
the first one.
Yeah, the first Power towards the end. They're like, that's not realistic. And I was just like
when he left that handprint on the window and then got accused of murder. I was like, what career criminal takes his glove off and leaves his handprint on the window? I was like, this is why I can't watch this show with y'all.
Well, listen.
It's like a soap opera.
Let me tell you something. I just want to be entertained. I mean, halfway make it interesting for me, and I'm good with it. Now I got a homeboy who he's a movie buff. Like, I'll see, and this is why that character wasn't that important because it didn't kill him on screen. That's how much they value him as a character. I'm like, hey man, shut the hell up, dude. I just want to be entertained. That's all I want to see. and power does that for me. You see drama, you see fictitious killing, and you see some hellified sex scenes. That's all I need. So
wait a minute. Is Method Man in any of those sex scenes?
I think
so. If he was, you probably have to tell us what episodes.
Right, zero me in on that.
No, I think Meth in the first season. I think he was. The second season he hasn't been. I think the first season he was in a few.
I love Method Man.
They've been backing off of it on this season, but yeah, Power's. I wish I watched it, man, because we definitely.
Oh, I watched the first Power.
You almost had me there.
Yeah, I watched the first Power with Ghost. I watched a little bit of the first season with Tariq. I get burnt out quick, and then I don't like things that are circumstantial. So I like watching movies, let it start, in, boom, I'm gone. I watch a lot of crime shows. So like, Chicago PD's my show, Law and Order SVU. So I watch stuff like that because like the plot starts at 8 and then it's over with at 9. I don't like circumstantial stuff to where you go to the store or you go to school, you go and everybody happens to be right there. You happen to date this person's husband, this person's brother, she's your coworker, your sister. Like I don't like that circumstantial soap opera stuff. So
y'all acting so brand new. You new
no,
black.
I'm not.
You act like you ain't grow up in the summertime watching As the World Turns or Young and the Restless with your grandmama. I sure did.
I did it.
I sure did watch that. Hey, I remember when I was in college and I worked at the bowling alley. I told y'all I used to work at the bowling alley. The only job I got fired from up until here recently, the bowling alley. I worked at the bowling alley on campus, and I'm telling you, lunchtime at the bowling alley would be packed. And you know why? Because it was like 100 students coming in to watch Days of Our Lives. I couldn't believe it. And Days of Our Lives was the worst soap opera. I mean, they didn't even try to make it look realistic.
No, Young and the Restless either. I remember my mom used to watch that one too. I don't like any of them. That's what I said. I don't like all that circumstantial stuff. Like you got this big old city and you happen to date somebody who happens to be the person you played cards with last night. I'm just like, I just don't.
Maybe that's not unrealistic. I mean, you think about it. Yeah. You kind of move in your demographic. I mean, I lived in the top 5 major cities in America, and I bump into people all the time. So it's not that out of the ordinary.
No, not everything though. Everybody's involved in everything.
Listen, see. Now I love you, right? Mm-hmm. But shut the hell up. I just want to be entertained. No.
I can't do it.
He's like, don't steal my joy.
No, I mean, there's a lot of people that like it. Like I said, it's on. My husband watches it. Like, I mean, it's just not my thing. I do enjoy reading about it, like people with the comments, like people coming up with all these different like conspiracy theories. So I did read one. They said that Ghost is coming.
Hold on.
What?
Because it's spoiler alert. So if anybody who hasn't watched, go ahead and turn this off now. But go ahead.
So I haven't watched either, so I don't know what to tell you. But I heard that Ghost is coming back. So if Ghost does come back, I probably will tune in. That's my guy right there. I like Ghost.
Now if Ghost come back, that is kind of stupid. Because that'd be a little silly. But
his son shot him.
But what if he was? Yeah, but what if he was in like hiding or something, like the police protection or something?
Hiding from his son?
No, I think Ghost dead. I think Ghost dead.
I mean, everything else is unrealistic. Why can't that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, if my son tried to shoot me, I'm showing up at school the next day and bopping that dude on the head.
Be like when Bobby when Bobby died on Dallas. Y'all remember that? Y'all didn't watch. You really didn't watch soap operas. So
we didn't watch TV. I didn't watch TV like that. We only had one TV. My mom already given it to us.
Why did Dallas? So though he was like, y'all really didn't watch Dallas? No.
Nah, listen. So there's this evening soap opera called Dallas. Very popular show. Extremely popular show. It's a good show. And the main character was J.R. Ewing. J.R. had a little brother named Bobby, right? So they had one of those cliffhanger episodes where Bobby got killed, right? So when they came back, I think the next season, all the fans were so mad that they killed off Bobby. Right? So the next season, the way they brought Bobby back was the gal he was with. She ran to the bathroom. She was all distraught, and Bobby comes out the shower. And they were like, oh, it was just a bad dream. Bobby didn't really die. That's how they did it. Yeah, I'm dead serious. Look it up. I promise you. That's how they did it.
Oh, no, I don't want anything like that. I don't know.
Could at least been a long lost twin brother or something.
Yeah, like 50's a little more creative than that. I think he'll come back to a dream.
Yeah. Man, what was that one thing I was going to tell you about though?
You talking about Power, the new one.
Yeah, but but one last thing before we go. Barry Bonds. This came out. Barry Bonds didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. And this was his last year where he could have been voted in by the writers. And I think it's BS. I always thought how Barry was treated was BS. My personal opinion, during that steroid era when you had Barry, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, I personally think that them taking steroids really didn't make that much of a difference, in my opinion. I would think that it would benefit the pitchers more than the hitters, because you could bench 500 pounds, but you got to be able to have that eye to be able to make contact with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And Barry Bonds, where people say, okay, you can tell right now where he started allegedly using steroids. Even before that point, I think he was a Hall of Fame baseball player. When he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he was a Hall of Fame. He was like a back-to-back MVP award winner, right? The only thing he didn't do is win the World Series. And he damn near did that by himself, one player. So for him not to get into the Hall of Fame, I can't say it's racism, because they kept, Roger Clemens out too. They kept a lot of guys from that era out, except for David Ortiz. David Ortiz, he just made it on the first ballot. But I think it's a mistake. And I think Barry Bonds is, from my opinion, my experience watching baseball, the best baseball player I've ever seen. And I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't think it had much to do with, like you said, as far as being a hitter. The only thing it really does, just from what I've read, is just makes you heal from injuries a little bit faster. It's not going to turn you, from Clark Kent into Superman. Like you said, being a hitter has a lot to do with eye and hand coordination and just actually focus on the ball. But there has to come to a time where, and not just in baseball, but all things, we got to separate like the athletes from what goes on in their personal stories. A lot of those same athletes that they let in have got caught, like, snorting coke in the hotel. So why is it okay to let them in, but not let somebody in who's doing steroids? In the same way with like Pete Rose, I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, he was betting on games. As long as he didn't throw a game or lose a game on purpose, then you should let him in the Hall of Fame. Like, everybody has those demons that they're fighting, whether it's gambling or a drug of choice, or it could have been, even getting arrested for prostitution, women, all that. Like, the whole point of getting in the Hall of Fame should just be based off of skill alone, or you can't pick and choose certain aspects of people's life that you want to judge. So yeah, he should definitely get in. They should all get in.
Especially since Pete Rose, he didn't throw any games, like you said. He always betted that we were going to win, that his team was going to win. So I'm for Pete Rose being in. I used to like watching Charlie Hustle. Yeah, for real. So
I think that, but we live in the country of like making examples out of people. America loves doing that, love picking and choosing people to like sacrifice on the altar of you do what I want you to do.
Cancel culture, yep.
And like, so it's okay. Like, I tell people all the time, the hypocrisy of the fact that you will get sentenced by a judge who does coke for doing coke just blows my mind. Like, the whole war on drugs is dumb to me, because I know plenty lawyers and people who like do drugs or drink and drive and then sit in court and watch you plead guilty to doing the stuff that they was just doing yesterday, but they didn't get caught and you got caught. So we're all about keeping the system going and making an example out of people. And unfortunately, Barry Bonds got caught up in that.
I just think, I grew up in an era when you had ADOS playing baseball. You had Ozzie Smith, Barry Bonds, Lee Smith. There was a ton of Black people that played baseball. And I think that if baseball really wanted to reinvigorate the fans, they should try to get more folks who come up like us to play the game. I think Black folks will make the game live. For real. But baseball's got all those funny rules and stuff. Like, if you hit a home run, run as fast as you can around the bases, or the next time up, we're gonna hit you with the ball. Or if you hit like, what was it? It was the kid. I think it was Fernando. I can't remember his name. His dad was a famous Major League Baseball player. But basically, this dude's been playing great all season, right? And his team was beating the other team like in the 6th or 7th inning. And the pitcher had thrown 3 balls. They had thrown 3 balls. So I guess the unwritten rule in baseball is that you're supposed to allow the pitcher to throw a strike, right? So the pitcher threw the ball down the middle so he could get a strike, right? And the kid took it, bow, took it out the park, ran around, he all happy and stuff. He come back to the dugout and his teammates is like, you know how you do something, you think you really did something, and people kind of looking at you like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So the next guy that came up, bam, they beamed him. And they finally got it out. And when the dude's teammates do to hit the home run, he went to the opposing team, was like, hey, we'll talk to him. And basically he told him, like, hey, look, dude, if we already winning and they about to put you on base, don't hit a home run. Basically run it up. See, I don't like stuff like that. Compete. You're a professional athlete, right? Compete. Yeah. So that's that stuff about baseball I don't like.
Well, that's a lot of sports though. That's just like in the NBA, if you're up by a lot, they don't want you to go down and dunk. They don't want you to score. If somebody wants to pad their stats, they can pad them. I don't care if we're up 50. Like, I mean, let people do what they do.
Now, hold on now. I do think you got to have some sense. Because, hey, me and C from Top City, I remember playing basketball. I wasn't the best basketball player, but I was tall, so I could play. I remember if you was up, you might get tackled going to the
Hey, you got that's the thing. You got to be on the lookout. Your whole teammate got to be watching you. Same way though. But if you want to take that chance and score, you can do that.
It's a risk.
It's a risk. Like, I mean, if you get blown out, be mad at you. Don't be mad at them.
Yeah. But I definitely think Barry Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, because here's the thing. The hypocrisy of it all is that Major League Baseball benefited greatly from that home run chase. They benefited greatly from it. They marketed it. Everybody was all excited and watching the games. Y'all was around during that time. And then all of a sudden, when they said, wait a minute, so you guys are juicing? Hell yeah, you knew they were juicing. You would look at them dudes and see that they was taking roids. Come on now. And now you want to get all high and mighty. And then the other problem is because the reason why he's not getting in, because Barry didn't really placate the writers. He didn't placate the writers. He didn't kiss their behind. And the people who vote for the Hall of Fame are the writers. And I personally think, were it not for Barry being on the ballot, like Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and all those other dudes who weren't as caustic and angry towards the writers, they would probably be in the Hall of Fame. But it would be so hypocritical to put them in and not put Barry in. That would really be on some racial stuff right there.
Yeah, but like you said, they didn't try to stop it while it was going on. They waited till that competition played out before they started talking about who or who may not have been using drugs or whatever. So they definitely benefited.
Yeah, I remember I lived in St. Louis. You remember, did they take it down, Eureka? I-70 going through St. Louis. They had Mark McGwire's name because remember he had hit 70 home runs. And they had Mark McGwire's name on the bridge and with the 70 for I-70. Now, I mean, the city, they really, really capitalized on that stuff, right? They really
love Mark McGwire.
Yeah, they love Mark McGwire. For real. But
I haven't seen it though, so they must have taken it down, but they loved Mark McGwire here. And St. Louis is a real big baseball city. They love the Cardinals.
That's the one thing I'm going to give St. Louis before we go. I don't think that there is now maybe Boston. I don't know, because I visited Boston, but I've never been to a game or the Yanks. But in terms of cities that I've lived in and been around and know people that follow baseball, black, white, whatever. If you in St. Louis, everybody loves the Cards. I remember when I lived in St. Louis, I could just lie and tell my employer, hey, I got tickets to the Cards game. They'd be like, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Go Cards. I ain't have to take no PTO. I ain't have to do nothing. Hey, I'm about to go to the Cards game. So I think
opening day is a holiday. Opening day is a holiday here.
Yeah.
Yes, it's that way in Kansas City too.
Yeah.
But I even think when we were growing up, just because of Ozzie Smith, like even if you were in the Kansas City area, like people like the Cardinals. So
yeah, because he had the TV show that came in on Saturdays and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
we all knew who like Stan Musial was and people like that. As long as you're a baseball fan. But I agree. There's some fans in St. Louis.
Yeah, but the best football fans in Kansas City. But guess what? I still ain't really watching.
That was like the greatest game ever. You telling me you didn't watch that game?
I didn't watch it.
Oh my God, I had like 8 heart attacks.
It's okay. Let the Chiefs win one more.
Man, he should have watched that. That might have been the greatest football game ever played. Like,
you know what? I heard people say that, and I tried to watch the I watched the highlights. I'll probably, if they watch a replay, I may watch it. But like C said, I mean, if they make it to the Super Bowl, there's a possibility I'll go, especially since it's going to be in LA. Yeah. But here's the deal. COVID is still real, y'all. And listen, and I ain't playing with Delta or Omicron. So, you know, it is what it is. So we'll see.
Yeah, no telling what other variant will be out next, 2 weeks from now, whenever they play. So.
Well, the clock is ticking. I got my 3rd shot. As soon as my doctor give me my clearance, I'm gonna get my 4th one. And I'm gonna be in LA watching the Chiefs. But anyway, I think we talked about it enough. Hey, y'all, if y'all want the merch, get a sweater, get a hoodie like I got on right now. Or if y'all want a t-shirt, long sleeve t-shirt, go to our Instagram, click the link in the bio. You can buy our merchandise. All the proceeds go to the show, goes to us buying new equipment, goes to us putting the show together. Definitely, if you want to support us, that's a good way to do that. If you want to make a financial donation, hit our Cash App, bang our Cash App, $ Man Listen Show. If you want to listen to our past shows, go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. Follow us on social media, subscribe, leave comments, give us a thumbs up, do everything you can to support the show. Hey, giving us a thumbs up don't cost nothing. Leaving a comment don't cost nothing. Sharing the show, telling people to follow us don't cost anything. So there's many ways to help us out. We appreciate you. We'll holler at you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Lav, what up?
Hey.